As a former Tesla Model 3 owner, these are 5 things that I factored in when purchasing the Ford Mustang Mach E. First, 250 miles is plenty. If you have a relatively short commute and if you have a garage at your home, 250 miles will most likely cover 95% of your driving purposes. Unless you're doing long road trips every day, you can top up by charging at home in your garage every night. So the disclaimer here is that if you don't have a place to charge at home, that's going to be a bit of an issue, so you do have to worry about charging stations being nearby. As a homeowner and somebody with a garage with a plug outlet, the 250 miles is totally fine for me because I can top up every night and get to my workplace or other responsibilities driving within those 250 miles every day. That brings us to our second factor, which is road trips. If you read in the news about Tesla, their charging network is great. And they have charging networks everywhere, and they're always advancing to speed up the rate at which they charge cars. But for me, myself, I have no intention of bringing an electric vehicle on a road trip that's longer than 250 miles. The main reason for that is it still takes a long time to charge your car to a reasonable amount of charge to get you to your destination. And in addition to that, something that people don't really factor in is that you need to have a reasonable amount of charge once you get to your destination if your destination does not have a charge port. So let's say, for example, it takes 500 miles to get from the Bay Area to LA. You not only have to worry about those 500 miles, but if you're arriving at a location that doesn't have a charge port, you have to think about the additional miles you need to charge or the additional miles that you need to have in your car once you arrive at your destination. The additional time that you spend waiting for your car to charge is time lost when you could be at your destination. For example, for me, a trip from the Bay Area to Los Angeles took an additional 2 hours than a gas-powered car. So for me, I envision myself still using a gas-powered car for long road trips. And so the 250-mile limit of the Ford Mustang Mach E is not going to be an issue at all because I expect to also have a gas-powered car available for me to use for those longer road trips. Speaking of road trips, and as somebody who also owned a Tesla Model 3 previously, the third thing that factored into my purchase of the Ford Mustang Mach E is while Tesla is great with its supercharger network, I found myself as somebody who uses the car mostly for commute driving that I actually never used the supercharger network. I ended up using a supercharger twice over 3 years, and largely that was for some longer distance driving. But for the most part, I found myself using my car and almost 90% of my mileage getting to work and to home and visiting family and friends around my city. So if you find yourself using it for that same purpose, then the factor of the charging network may not be that much of a deal breaker for you to choose Tesla versus Ford. If you have a home and if you have a garage and if you have easy access to a charge port, then you will also not need the supercharger network as much as advertised throughout YouTube and online articles. So make sure to factor that in. The fourth factor is that I'm a big guy and I also need big space. I'm a big guy, and as somebody who owned a Tesla Model 3, I often found myself plopping in and struggling to get out of my Tesla Model 3. It's a small sedan and it is very low off the ground. In addition to that, as somebody who's older and joints stop working, it is important for me to be higher up off the ground. So the Ford Mach E serves that purpose at a very great deal. That brings us to the fifth and final factor that led me to purchase the Ford Mustang Mach E is that it is a really great deal. We're talking about an electric vehicle that's an SUV that is selling at an MSRP of $48,000 and still has the federal tax incentive of $7,500, and stacking that with potential city, state, county tax and also utility benefits may bring down the MSRP from $48,000 to $38,000. Where else are you going to get a brand new electric vehicle SUV with top of the line technology for $38,000? And with Tesla constantly raising their prices nowadays, there is no competition on value for the Ford Mustang Mach E and electric vehicles and SUVs. So those are the 5 factors that led me to ordering my Ford Mustang Mach E. Let me know what else factored into your purchase of the Ford Mustang Mach E. And if you're interested in hearing my weekly updates of ordering a Ford, and if you're interested in my weekly updates of my Ford Mustang Mach E order, make sure to hit subscribe and watch the other videos I have on my weekly updates on ordering the Ford Mustang Mach E. Thanks for watching.